All right, guys, as you've all registered for today, we're going to be launching a big new feature with Locked On, which is our QR check-in administration directly in the app. The team have been working pretty hard on and getting this ready and testing it with you, Aaron. You've been looking at it for quite a while now and been giving your feedback. So how have you found it so far and the big difference with this app?
Look, well, first and foremost, I'll say welcome to everybody. Full house,
Mm,
101 people on the webinar. I'm really looking forwards to this. And like what you said, Luke, today's webinar is all around transforming your open house experience. What are the best agents doing? What's the best process out there right now? And I guess what we're really going to be showing you today, what we're going to be demonstrating to you is what are the tools out there that are going to make you more efficient, but
mm,
more importantly, make you effective? How do we give? And I think this is the goal, right? We always start with the end goal in mind. How do we take that level of service up a notch? And
mm,
for me, that's all around, how do we deliver? I guess this is the question that we always are constantly trying to answer. How do we deliver world-class service to our buyers?
mm,
Because we all know today's buyer is tomorrow's seller. So I think a lot of the things that you're going to walk us through today really aren't out there in the marketplace. These
mm.
are a lot of industry firsts, and I guess it's like Apple, for argument's sake, when they introduced the iPhone, it's like that whole first mover advantage. What we're about to show you, you want to be the person that's doing it in your marketplace first to get a jump on your competition.
Mm.
And I guess, look, let's be real, things are really competitive at the moment. The listings are tight. We're all looking for a competitive edge. How do we use this to help us make more sales, but how do we use what we're about to show you to demonstrate that to potential sellers in a
Yeah,
listing
that's a
presentation?
massive point of what
To,
today's about.
you
It's
know,
huge.
to show that potential seller why you're the best person for the job, while everybody else is still doing something old school. You're doing something that is 2021 certified, and very few people will be doing. So, do you want to walk us through the sort of agenda for today, Luke, and
Yeah.
just cover off on things we're going to be looking at?
Yeah, so if we're looking at here, we're going to be showing you the new app. Okay, so that's basically inside the Locked On app, and we'll be demoing it live on screen. But it's going to give you the ability to check people into the system, whereas our previous QR was all self-managed, where they would actually come take a photo of the QR code and have to put their own details in, which was working fantastically in this whole world of COVID. Everyone knows how to use a QR code and scan it. But we've gone one step further now, and we've launched the self-management inside the Locked On system, which basically means that if you ever have people that don't want to use the QR or don't have the smartphone, is that you can now check them in, grab feedback of anyone that's attending, send documents and information to them directly from your app. So this is what we call your contactless OFI attendee. So you're now able to track these. You can add and update feedback on the fly for your clients that are viewing the property. You can send the documents at one click. So this is a really, really sort of big secondary feature of this whole process, is that we're going to be showing you how you set up a template in your Locked On account. You mark files in your Locked On account as important or contracts. And from the inside the app, if someone walks out and says, "Hey, Aaron, would you like contracts or information on this property?" He says, "Yes." I can press one button and it's instantly emailed off to him all the documents that relate to that property. So we'll show you that live as well. We're also going to be showing you the automated follow-up with triggers, which is the whole trigger system in Locked On has just changed how we present the CRM and what your main thinking behind your whole business really is. What can we automate? What can we make more efficient? And Aaron will get sort of more into why this is sort of important moving forward as we show it in real time. But the triggers is a big part of today. And in today's session, I'm going to be taking you through not just the app and how that works, but also the sort of the buyer journey using triggers to get to the open home. And Aaron's going to be pointing out as well some of the why this is important. Again, why does it show that you're world class, and bring into that wow factor of, well, this office is switched on. We're a buyer at the moment. We're potentially going to be a seller, and that's the whole thing we want to do, is wow them from that buyer stage to when they're a seller. They just go, look, these are the only guys that have given us that sort of service. And that will then link in all live to your vendor portal, which will be the last sort of thing we show you today. So if you're not using a live vendor portal, then this will really sort of turn a light bulb moment on for you and going, okay, well, this is what next best world-class service is that live real-time feedback to a vendor. So looking at this, it's easy administration. It's real-time attendee updates or added manually. You can view and update their visitor feedback, so we can get feedback as they're leaving, or we'll show you the QR, how they actually can leave their own feedback if they're taking and scanning their own. You can add your notes, so private notes against the client or vendor notes. And we've got here the ability to send documents. So you're seeing sort of a preview of this now. So anything that's important on this property goes into this document email. It creates an email on the fly with attachments, and it's tagged to the client that they have requested a contract and you've sent it to them. So this again feeds straight back into the vendor reports, which is crucial for them to know. Is like, I had 10 inspections, but who are the people that requested contracts? It's that next level of interest. So they will see that all live. So we've got the reporting in there. They receive the automated follow-up with our locked-on trigger system that we're going to show you today. The SMS and email is sent post the inspection, and it's customizable to suit your agency, but we give you all the preset templates. So once you see the templates and you've started to use them, you have like pretty much as your skill is on Locked On, you can really start to customize these. And everything that's synced and captured through the app is available 24/7 instantly to report to your vendor. So we've got some really exciting stuff to show you today inside the app, some really beautiful new screens and new sort of workflows. And you can sort of see where Locked On is progressing and how we're going to be presenting the app to you. So we might jump into the system now, Aaron, and just sort of start talking about Locked On and the triggers and the journey that people will be taking.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a few chats come through, so I just thought I'd say again, if you've got chats or questions, guys, if you can like probably save them to the end, we won't have time to sort of get to them during.
Can I just mention something there, guys?
Yeah.
So as you're chatting, there's like just above where you type the message, it will say all panelists. If you just want to click down on that where it will say all panelists and attendees. So at least that way, everybody else can see your question as well. So when you're going to type a question, click all panelists and attendees. And then that way, everybody will see your question. And then when we reply, everyone will see the answer. So, but yeah, let's get into it.
Beautiful. So during that sort of intro, I mentioned we're going to be showing you that what's the journey leading up to the open home. And in Locked On, we're really progressing and moving forward in the world of what we call triggers, which is automation. So what we want to do today is start the sort of journey with a buyer. And the starting point of this is where a buyer comes into your office, either from an inquiry. Now, we capture a lot of inquiries from most of your main portals, so REA domain, and that gets captured into the system. So if we look at this inquiry section and I hit actions, we're going to add an inquiry here. I'll put my details in for the property we're going to use today, which is 8 Skinners. And I want everyone just to sort of pretend that I'm making this inquiry at 11 o'clock at night and the details are being captured into the system. So we're putting in my email. We'll put in my mobile number here. And we will then say that it's come from domain and they want to know the price. Now we'll add that inquiry. So I like to always say, look, pretend it's coming at 11 o'clock at night, just for the example, that when the person makes the inquiry, you see that it's captured into Locked On. There's an orange dot there. And when you come in the morning, it tells you there's one inquiry that needs processing. Now for that inquiry that's hit the system here, this is where the first impression to your buyers, and remember, buyers are sellers, and Aaron sort of talked about those percentages and those conversions. We're looking at an instant SMS. If you have SMS set up on Locked On, that gets sent to them saying, hey, Luke, thanks for your inquiry on 8 Skinners. I'll be in contact with you shortly. Please save my number. And then instantly as well, they're getting an automatic email saying, thank you for inquiry on the property. Now, as the agent, you come into the office and you process that. You've spoken to them, you're qualifying your client, you're seeing if they're already in your database, which mine's already matched to a client. And in the summary, you're able to see their notes. So if I'm looking at the summary of what's happened with this client, I can see that there's a history of email being sent to them and SMS being sent to them. And if we look at the history here, we can see in the history for our client that the email has been sent. Thank you for your inquiry on. So there's the inquiry with some custom details about the property, the photos, the view online, the agents. And if we look at the SMS in the history, the SMS has been sent to our buyer inquiry as well, which was the thank you for your inquiry on 8 Skinners. So first impression wise, Aaron, why is this so important that we kind of look at having this automation for buyer inquiry at the moment? You talked just offline before to me about the state of the market per se.
You look at it, right? So a lot of buyers, aren't even getting any sort of real engagement from the agent. So it's sort of like, well, if you're interested, come to the open home, and that's about it. But here's the reality: there isn't any new people coming into the country right now. So basically, all the buyers that you're seeing are locals, and I would say roughly 70 to 80% of the people, not in every area, obviously, but 70 to 80% of the people that are looking to do a transaction in your area are within a sort of 5 to 7 kilometre radius. So most people, the number one complaint, let's be real for a second, the number one complaint about our industry is the lack of communication and the lack of feedback. How many times have you heard it? Someone inquires, oh, I never heard from the agent. Yeah. Well, in this example, as soon as somebody inquires, it automatically triggers an SMS to fire off acknowledging, hey, we got your email, or we got your inquiry, we're going to get back to it soon. Then it fires off an email. And I guess one of the things you're going to show, Luke, is buyer portal, because one of the things you could include on that email that says, hey, we got your email, while you wait to hear from us, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you're after? They could actually click on that. And if you want to show us that, Luke, they can actually start to give us a clearer picture of exactly what it is that they are actually looking for. And every time they include, or if they go through and click update my details on that email template, it will actually populate your database with exactly what they're looking for. So I guess first impressions, not only am I a potential purchaser, but I'll also have a house to sell when I've made my purchase. Well, these guys, in this example, I've got an SMS acknowledging my inquiry. I've got an email saying, hey, tell us a little bit more about what you're after before we get back to you. That's going to be a point of difference.
Yeah. And that buyer portal part is another part of Locked On's automation, where it's all self-managed buyer criteria. So as part of the inquiry automation, Aaron was saying you could include this let's update your details email, which is on the screen, as the next email they receive. And it's basically saying, whilst we're waiting to get back to you, please let us know what you're looking for. So if we just show you how this works from a buyer's perspective of giving you what they're actually after, I'll just open this sort of in a new window. And whether it's on the phone, the tablet, the iPad, it's going to have your branding, your colors on it, and it's going to show what their current buyer status is in your system. Now, if it's a brand new buyer person, it will say not set on all of these areas. So they haven't yet set up what they're looking for in your business. If they're no longer looking to buy, let's just say you sent this off in 6 months to all your buyers, they can click here to tell you they're no longer looking, and it will untick them as an active buyer in your system. So this is the full buyer management for your database. Are you still looking, or are you no longer looking? And if you are looking, you can then update your details. So are you looking as a first home buyer, downsizing, upsizing? There's some really important things here around these buttons that Aaron can sort of explain here. I think it's quite important to note, but some of these are really good sort of key contact points with your buyer around why you're upsizing, why you're downsizing.
Yeah, well, you think about it. So somebody's coming in as inquiry, and we say, hey, we're going to be in contact with you soon. While you wait, please tell us a little bit more about what you're after, and you invite them to go through this process. And when they click upsizing or downsizing, well, first and foremost, you will know if they've got a property to sell. So if they click upsizing, great, they've got a little house, a little property to sell. If they click downsizing, even better, they've got a better property to sell. So not only are you helping them with their buyer experience, you're identifying that they've got a potential property to sell. Secondly to that, let's just say they click investment. Well, you might automatically refer that straight over to the to your rental department, and the BDM in rentals may send the landlord information pack and make a call and say, hey, look, we know you're looking for investment. We'd love to help you. Then they can go through, search the price range, or set the price range they want, the property type they want. And then at least then, instead of just having this like dirty data, and I think that's what realistically happens a lot of the time with email inquiries, it's just junk data. They inquire on one property, very little details are given. This way, it gives that person the opportunity to actually tell us or tell you exactly what they're looking for. So when those next lot of emails start to go out and those buyer match emails go out, it's a lot more specific to that client's criteria.
Yeah,
and the best thing is, like, everything they do here obviously updates, like your database. So it's, this is a client-facing screen, which would normally be an agent-facing screen for Locked On. And I think, I guess that's the first part of that buyer journey, that automated trigger from SMS and that automated email and that inviting them to include or, tell us what they're looking for, and then figuring out if they're upsizing or downsizing is the first step to this.
Yeah, and that's instantly synced. So just looking here, we filled in the details as you were talking there, Aaron, so people would have seen it live on screen. But it's updated my buyer type to downsizing, 1 bed, 1 bath, 1 car. We have all of the types they're looking for, and their price was 2 million. And
That's
that
about
then
right in Sydney at the moment.
and that then matches all the properties that are linked to this person. But what the beautiful thing about the buyer portal is that they've inquired on one property, which we saw was 8 Skinners. Actually, once they've put in their criteria, they've matched 6 other properties. And what the system will do is once we know their criteria, it actually finds the rest of the properties we have listed as a company, and it automatically sends them an updated email that says, thank you for updating your criteria. Here's a list of all the properties that match your criteria. And it sends them all of the available ones we have that they may not have seen online, or these could be even quiet listings that we just simply advertise in email. So that follow through, it's definitely world class, which is the instant inquiry reply, SMS, email. It then tells them to tell us what they're looking for. If we have more properties that match them, then bang, instantly they're sent an email directly from us, which gives them all those properties that match their criteria. So you can see this buyer journey progressing with a fair bit of automation here. And that's what we're trying to show you today. When we get into this app, there's a lot more automation that actually gets to it. Now, we're talking about Luke and Natalie Newton's journey as a buyer through the system today. And we get to another point where they've inquired on this particular property, which I can see in the activity inquiries for their record. And that's 8 Skinners. Now, the next trigger in automation in Locked On, we call them triggers, and I'll say triggers or automation a fair bit today. But we can actually see in the marketing and in the opens that I have an open set for the 21st of April, 2021. And this is leading us closer to the journey of them actually turning up and how we use the QR check-in system in multiple different ways, whether they scan it or we do it in the app. So this property is open on the 21st of April, this weekend, today. Now, our system with one of the triggers will find any property that's open, and 2 or 3 days before that, send them an email to come and attend that property. So let's look at what's happening as Luke, before he even gets to the property. Automatically in the activity, I can see there's been 14 inquiries. The system will know there's an open today. So let's say yesterday it would have gone send email. It would have found all the inquiries that haven't inspected the property yet. So we're doing it to a really targeted group, and we're sending off the open home alert. And the open home alert is a beautiful email that invites them to the next open. So yesterday evening, I would have got this email from my agent saying, hey, Luke, the property you inquired on is actually open tomorrow. We'd love to see you there. Here's all the information, the details. And they've got this email in their inbox instantly from the listing agent.
Can I just make an observation, Luke? The system's smart. It knows who's inspected it and who hasn't inspected it.
Yeah.
So it will leave out, I guess is the right word, it will leave out the people who have inspected it, and anybody that hasn't will send them an email. And this is all happening automatically, correct? Like
yes,
the agent's
definitely
not doing any of this.
You're not doing anything. We turn these on as you get your account started. Inside the trigger pack, we basically ask you what day and time you want them to go and set all these up for you, but they're on and they run forever. The system is smart because we don't want to keep, if you've had 100 inquiries, you don't want to send 100 emails every week if you've got 10 opens. And some people may have inspected, some haven't. You know, this person here, Adam Hughes, he may have told me he's not interested. We inquired on it. We got back to him, told him the price. He said, look, it's way out of my price range or whatever it may be. I'm not interested. And anyone who's not interested in the property, and you'll see the little flag there, also is removed from those emails. So there's a fair bit of smarts going on as to the automation. We're not just, what we would call spamming everyone to invite them to your open each week.
Yeah, it is smart. But you think about everything that we just took you through, from if you had to email, we just got your inquiry, SMS your inquiry, hey, update the detail, and then tell us, and then manually do it, then manually send out the email. This is why none of this stuff typically gets done. We're in a labor industry. There's only so many hours in a day that we have to get through, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means that we typically run out of time. Where when you've got systems like this in the background, all the things that you're meant to do are still actually happening. You're just not the one having to do it. It's just happening automatically for you.
Yeah, exactly right. These are
all
things
about efficiencies and effectiveness, because there's only so many hours in a day. And as I said, we're a labor-based business. We've got to figure out how we best spend our labor, but also making sure this other stuff is automatically happening.
And that kind of leads us to the next journey of like your open home experience of what today's session's all about. So we launched the QR system late last year. So some people have been using it. Some may only be seeing it for the first time. And if you're not a locked on user, this will be all brand new to you. But the whole experience around property opens did get sort of nearly flipped on its head in regards to sort of COVID. Like, how do we collect details? What do we need to do to make sure it's in a system and all logged, etc. Now, with the whole process, you're still setting up an open and a time and a date. And inside the actual CRM, you can set these dates and times, or in the app, you can actually do it as well. But there's two sides now to the open home registration, and there's two different journeys that people can have. I want to explain what we created, first of all, that we launched late last year in regards to the self check-in, and why that has some advantages in regards to feedback at the end of it. And then we'll basically jump straight into the app after this and show you all the new the managed check-in by the agent features. So the QR part itself, every property in Locked On has a PDF, and that PDF, just like you see everywhere else, has the QR code. Now we're live right here now. So if you have a smartphone, jump on it now, get your camera out, take a photo of it. I want you to experience the triggers, the automation, and what we're doing today. If you get the chance, I'll leave that there for about 30 seconds. So open your phone, take a photo. You're going to see exactly what I'm going to show you in a second.
So it looks so slick.
There you go. Look,
so good.
Okay. So put your details, your name, your number, and your email in for us. But what we can actually see here is that it's going to take you through to a check-in option. So I'm just going to grab this and show you to a live for the people that haven't got the time to do it. So if we go into...
do it. It's super easy.
Yeah. So this is what it will look like on your phone or tablet.
Can I tell you, this is the first time I'm actually doing this. Like on this new build, this is like the first time. Ian, if you're watching, it looks awesome, by the way. Thank you.
So that's it there. I'll leave it there for another 10 seconds. Take a photo and add yourself. Now, when you add yourself, I'm going to be able to show you on the screen Locked On. That's synced instantly. So what we're going through here in the first sort of 10 minutes of this is the self-check-in process. So I would suggest you print these, you put them in your open home folder. You have one on the signboard as the people are walking up. You have one on the door or on a table where you have all your info. People will need to scan it, enter their details, and they'll need to show you at the door they've checked in. I put in my details here as if I'm doing it on my phone or my tablet. And we then hit the check-in option. As soon as I check in, it then takes me to a screen saying you're at the property and the ability to check out. Now, before that, let's just go back into my property.
By the way,
let's look at the activity.
How good it looks. Like, it just looks so clean. There's no overwhelm. There's no confusion. Like, one of my big things around training in general, and that is, if you want to impress somebody, you make it complicated. But if you want to help somebody, you keep it simple. These screens are built for the customer, and the buyer. They're so simple to follow, and they look good. So you won't get that friction of, I don't know what to do. It's really simple.
So what you're kind of seeing here is that we've got we've got my inspection that's there, Luke Newton, and we can see that I'm in the list, and there's a few other people. Thanks guys for adding yourself around this time. So 11:23. How many did we get? Oh, quite a few. My inspections have gone up to 73. So a lot of people took a photo. So thanks for that. You can see the check-in time. This is what's important, guys, this check-in time. Our trigger system, based on this, when I go back to our inspection on your phone, your tablet, you'll all see this checkout option. So my check-in time, 11:23. As soon as I check in, 15 minutes after that check-in, you're all going to get an SMS from me on the listing agent that says, thank you for attending the property at 8 Skinners Avenue today. Please save my name and number. I'll be in contact with you shortly to get feedback. Now, if I check out, you can say...
Pause for a second there.
Yeah.
You could add whatever you wanted.
Oh, you can. These are our templates that come with it, but there's nothing stopping you from customizing.
I'm just sitting here thinking, if I wanted to create competition, and it's a hot listing, I could say, hey, thanks for attending. As you saw, there was a lot of people there. We're going to be presenting all offers to the owner by 5 o'clock on Monday. If you'd like to be included in that process, please get in contact with me. And 100%. Then that just creates that urgency, or whatever you want to do. That template message is entirely up to you.
Yeah. So in the trigger, as a default with all accounts, we give you the thank you message and the email that goes to them 1 hour after attending the property. So everyone that just checked themselves in, probably still in this webinar, another 15 minutes, you'll get an SMS from me. Now I'm checking myself out, and this is just one of the benefits I want to show you from people using the QR code themselves, and Aaron will give you sort of the reasoning behind this. But I was there for 15 minutes. Let's say my interest level was very interested, and I could just say liked the house. Now, as I check out and I fill all this information in, it gives me a confirmation that I've done, and the person will close down their phone or their app. And if we go back into the activity and into the inspections area, what we can see is that the very interested tag is there and the feedback notes like the house are there. What's important with these self notes is that they do not go directly to your vendor. They're there for you to call the person back and have a good conversation starter. Now, how we found these are really valuable is that some people may not say they're interested, may say they don't like it, but most people are going to give honest feedback inside an app without having to speak to someone or be eyeball to eyeball. They just feel a lot more confident giving feedback directly in the app. And you're going to get some really interesting comments and notes about the property, about the feedback before you actually speak to people. And I guess that's just that, Aaron, you were saying before, it's breaking that barrier between an agent kind of being not too pushy, but having to sit there and be eyeball to eyeball with someone, say, hey, give me your honest feedback. Well, they may not do that, but they may type it in a message.
It's friction. It comes down to friction again, how comfortable somebody is saying that you're human. And like you've heard the phrase keyboard warrior, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's less filters involved in that. So if I can just say something and you're not there asking me why, I can just speak my mind freely.
Exactly right. So that's where the QR self checkout is a great part for the person has the ability on their phone to give you honest feedback. So using the QR self management, where they actually take the photo and check in, you can see that it logs date and time, their interest level, and it allows you to get notes, and the automatic triggers in Locked On are going to send them a thank you message from you 15 minutes after, which is an SMS, and then an email 1 hour after, which says, thank you for attending the property. And that can be customized to have whatever content you want in it. But right now it's a thank you message with the property details, photos, and links back to your website. Now, today's full session has been about, well, where did we advance from this? So we launched this, as I said, late last year, and a lot of people uptook this straight away and they were using it, and a lot of people used the QR. But you ran into issues where people don't have smartphones. There's not many of them, but there is some. People don't want to type their own information in. They'd rather give it to an agent, or an agent wants to actually be eyeball to eyeball with people and collect names and numbers. And that's where the self-managed part, doesn't allow the agent to enter in the information of the person turning up. So this is where we've now gone with the app, been building probably since, early this year, this new feature of the whole check-in from the agent side and the ability to get your own feedback and details, speaking eyeball to eyeball with the agent. So I'm going to stop the share now, and we're going to launch into the app and show you how the app now gives you the ability to use the full QR check-in system inside the Locked On app. So I'll just stop this share, and we'll go into the share screen, iPhone, iPad, and we'll bring this up now. Aaron, I can see you smiling. You're reading some comments or some questions coming through.
I'm waiting in anticipation because it's not sharing your screen. Double click. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Aaron,
that was me like waiting for the announcement of the Olympics. Like the winner is Sydney. I'm sitting there going, I hope the transition works.
Yeah, I hope the iPhone shares on the screen. We did test this multiple times before today, so I don't know that it actually is working. Yeah, whenever you're live, there's always things that go wrong.
Yep.
So we're inside the Locked On app now. So people that have been using it, the screens look quite familiar to you. Here you can see a list of all my listings, etc. And if I just go into 8 Skinners by clicking onto that, we will be able to go into this just to see how many inspections and inquiries we've got. So if I scroll across the top and I go into my inspections, so a lot of people actually added their details in, which is great from that QR example I put up there. A lot of you will see your names there now as I'm scrolling through. There's my one, and that's giving me all of the people that have checked in. Now, just whilst you're all looking at that, I am going to go back into my system here.
Yeah. Should I just say something?
Yeah.
Like what we're talking about when we're talking about the app, we're not talking about the client app, we're talking about the agent app, right? I just want to spell that out for everybody. Yeah. This is, so there's no confusion. This is the app that you're going to be using as the agent. This is your mobile app for Locked On.
Yeah, exactly right. So this is the app that you'll be using there. So
because look, I know there's a lot of Locked On users on this call, but I also know that there's some that aren't. That's all.
Yeah. So this is basically the app where you're looking at it, and what we need to do is just bring up the screen again. So 1 second, iPhone, iPad. And I just had to delete my record there. So we'll go back into the, and just let me know once that comes back up on your screen, Aaron.
Not there yet. It is now, yep.
It's okay, perfect. So inside the app, I'm just going to go back to the dashboard and let's now intro you into the whole new QR agent managed check-in system. So at the top, you'll see the 3 dots and we click into that and you'll see QR check-ins as an option here in the menu. When you check the QR check-ins, it will load and show you any OFIs you have due today, sorted in time order. So 8 Skinners open at 11:30. If I click onto this, you'll now see it shows you any check-ins made today. Now let's pretend no one has actually come to the property. You won't see any inspected down below. If someone walks up to you and says, oh, look, the QR on the actual bit of paper did not work, this little cool view QR code option allows you to open it and it will show the QR on your phone. So you can actually just go to the person, hey, take a photo of this, and it will open up instantly on their phone. So there is, if you do not have the printed one and you still want to use this, you can have your phone displaying it. And that's a pretty cool way to get around having your phone on the table and showing people they can still check in themselves if they like. But the new one,
somebody sneaks past the table,
yeah,
you've got that many people there, you can tap them on the shoulder, hey, scan in.
Exactly. Yeah, you can even have you might have a big open, you've got your PA there and, as a fail safe, you've got 2 of those things on the signboard on the door, but as they're walking in, hey, did you check in? No, take a photo of this and watch them do that. Now, the other option to that is you have the add check-in option. So when you're looking at the add check-in, you get the visitor details. And this is pretty much like the self-managed. There's not going to be much different to it, but I'm just going to add myself here now. You're speaking to the person, we're grabbing their details and we're saying, what's your mobile number? We're putting all that info in. And as soon as you're putting the people in, it's validating the email and mobile, don.com. And when we add the person, we will see a success message appear on the screen. Behind the scenes, guys, as you put in someone name, number, email, it's duplicate checking everything in Locked On. And that is showing us, okay, well, if they're already in there, we're going to match to them. And then it's going to show us that that person's already exists in the database. So if we're looking here at the list, we've got the success message and we can see Luke and Natalie Newton at the top. I could do that over and over again and add as many people as I want. But if you've got someone, and this was a great example, I had a chat with someone yesterday, you've got someone down the bottom of a building complex and they're adding people and the agent's at the top. The agent could be at the top hitting the refresh option and it's going to refresh and show them any new people that have come. So they're coming up in the lift and then they see, oh, look, the next person coming up is Joanne and John. And as soon as they step out, you can go, oh, hey, Joe and John. Yeah, great. Thanks for speaking to my colleague downstairs. Come and have a look through the property. So that's the live instant, doesn't matter who's taking it. Everyone's going to see the person that's last attended and the check-in in time and date order there.
And it's happening in real time. There isn't like this whole wait for syncing issue, 15-minute batches. They check, it happens.
Exactly right. Now, this is the other side of it. The person's going through the property. They're looking at it. You've got all their names and details here in the list. And there you go, guys. Thanks for putting all your details in. But we look at Luke and Natalie and we open up their record. And this will then allow us to do the update the inspection details with them. So inside the inspection details, we can now take our feedback. We will have the ability to send them the contracts. We'll have the ability to call them, but we can edit more information through a face-to-face conversation with them now. So we'll let this sort of load and then we can go through the fields that we can sort of enter in. So we have the price guide. So if we're looking to edit this with them, we can go into the price guide and we're then able to enter in, okay, what is it that they're thinking for price? And then we have the lead source, where it's come from. The interest is unknown and our inspection feedback. So if we edit the inspection details, here you can see is the edit option. So the duration, not really crucial, but you may say they were only there for 15 minutes. What's their price guide? So in here, we can put, they think $8.50 and their interest level is, look, they seem very interested and we're going to set that. You can see it's all very nice and smooth, how that sort of all flows. The UI has been beautifully created by a team. So we'll set the interest level there and we'll put that in to the system. Oh, there we go. Go back to 8 Skinners. I just clicked the back button too many times, sorry. And we'll edit inspection. Okay, so just put this in again, 850. Okay, star rating. Some people like to use this or not. They just use the interest level. We can say that it's 10. And here's
you never click 10.
Hey, never click 10. Okay, so
it's always 5 to 7. Yeah.
So
if the vendor can see 10, I don't know if the vendor.
I think they're going to buy it.
What's that?
I think they're going to buy it.
Yeah, the only person that is a 10 is when it settles.
Yeah. So the inspection feedback here is that we can put in the details from their feedback. So we'll just put in here, loves their house. Oops. Okay, so now we can
You're
edit
doing
the
this on your
inspection.
phone, right? You're typing this in your
Yeah,
phone.
this is all live. Yep.
Yeah.
So we edit the inspection and then this will save it as all of the details sync instantly back into Locked On. We're saving all the information about this inspection that's just happened with the client. So what this is giving you the ability to do is be live with your client, editing the information, and then saving that from their client. And you can see that it's now updated. So we've got the price guide 850. We've got a 5 out of 10. We've got love the house. So down the bottom here, I've actually sent these documents to me before. So what it actually has, if you haven't done it before, because I've logged myself in and I've got the contracts, but it will have a resend documents to Louis and Natalie. So Louis is the nickname of my client in there. If I hit the resend option, it is now automatically sent an email to the client. I'm going to show you how this email is set up in a second. That will lead us into going back into the desktop, but it's now sending off the email with all the contracts off to the actual buyer. And so that's going off in real time and the documents have now sent. Down the bottom below that is where you can add your private notes. So the private notes are, look, Luke and Natalie turned up. They drive a black BMW. They own 3 investment properties in the area. Something your vendor doesn't need to know.
Yeah,
Get the
or
ad note to know
they're
that.
going to potentially be looking at selling when they make a purchase. Just
Exactly. Things you want to know when you're going to be called them back. And then you've got the vendor notes. So the add vendor notes is if you've spoken to them and you really want your vendor to see some live notes, because remember this syncs live to the portal, you can click add note and you can add those notes now. Okay, so there's a few different areas that you add notes. The first ones are about their general feedback of the property that you want to remember for your phone calls and follow-up. Second one is private notes about the client that don't go to your vendor, as in they own more properties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
basically a diary note, realistically.
Yeah. And the vendor notes are things that you want to go live instantly to the vendor. So once you've finished with all of that, you'll then be able to go back into your inspection details and you'll be speaking to the next person. So Matt, he walks out of the property and I'm going to take his information. So he's someone who's on the webinar today and we're going to take his information inside the app now and get all the feedback and details. So you can see it's now all self-managed inside the app. And for Luke and Natalie, the document has been sent off to them with all of the contracts and information. So right now, let's just go and recap one thing. From the dashboard inside your Locked On app, you will all have available to you today the new self-managed QR check-in. By clicking the 3 dots at the top, you'll be able to go into the QR check-ins, and the QR check-ins will show you any properties you have open on that particular day with the date and time ordered from the first one to the last one. And if your property doesn't have an open, it doesn't mean that you cannot use it. It will say no OFI today, but you can still use this for private inspections. For even going out, adding someone as a private one-on-one, you'll still get all the automation, the triggers, the syncing them into the system and adding all their feedback. So don't think of it just for open homes. It's a full inspection app, but mainly used for the open home process. So what we'll do is we'll just stop this share now and I will jump back into sharing my screen.
I'd love to see what the email looks like, Luke, where
Yeah.
I've been out. I've said, look, Luke, I'm interested. Can you send me some paperwork or can you send me the documents on it?
Yeah. That's exactly what I want to show now, because this is really its whole own feature that we built to go with this. And how this works, guys, is that in Locked On in the property and the information in the documents area is where you upload every document that relates to the property. Now I'm going to upload a new one just to show you how an upload works. As I go to my desktop, I'm going to find the contract and I'm going to put the contract here as a PDF. When I upload any document, I now have the option to flag that as a contract document, which goes in the contract email. So I have 3 documents that whenever a buyer says, can I have info on this property? Oh, I just tagged the wrong one. I'll just flag that. So I've got 4. These 4 documents will be emailed to the person. Now that email is set up in the office settings inside the settings area here. And it's a template that we've loaded into all your accounts as of today called Send Property Documents.
So can I just pause for a second? Yep. So you might have 20, let's just say you've got 10 documents. Some are going to be internal documents. You wouldn't tag them. The
exactly
ones
right.
Clients to see. So you might even include another one. Call it the PDF brochure for argument's sake. The contract of sale, whatever it is. You could even have a rental appraisal letter there. So you could say, if it's an investment property, you could let the potential purchaser know exactly what that property could get. So you could upload all the documents, highlight or select the ones that you want them to get on the follow-up email, and obviously leave out the other ones.
Exactly right. So the document storage inside Locked On is really
Yeah.
for everything about the property, but not everything needs to go to a buyer of interest.
No, 100%. So you get to pick and choose what you want to have go to them, and what you want to leave for internal use.
Yeah, exactly right. So if I look in my inbox, here's the property documents email. I only had 2 documents flagged at the moment, but here you can see property documents for 8 Skinners. It will have your logo. Hi, Luke. As discussed, please find attached all the relative documents for 8 Skinners, Dolls Point. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me directly from the listing agent with the rental appraisal, the section 96. And now the next one would have the contracts, because I've put that in and flagged it, as well as the floor plan.
And you can obviously edit these templates. So you might want to put a bit
exactly
more.
Right. Yeah. So in the engine templates, the property send is the one that we've installed into all of our accounts. You hit edit, you can completely change this. You could have a photo of the property, you could change the wording, but remember, it is a template for all properties that will be used. So it's kind of got to be a bit broad, but the main thing is that it will automatically find the documents for that property and send it off.
But you could even add, it was great meeting you today. If there's anything I can do to help you with this property anymore, please get in contact, etc. Then you might even, and I'm just, the whole personal profile inside of real estate, you might even say, hey, have you seen my profile video yet? For whatever, say, and then put a little link to something so they get to learn a little bit more about you. They're in the no opening things, is that they're opening a contract or this or that, and I might click the link and view it. Yeah.
Exactly right. Like there can be anything in there. Yeah, it's endless. And I've seen some Locked On users create some really cool stuff, like in follow-up emails.
You and I should sit down with the triggers and really sort of build some of them out.
Yeah, we're going to be creating a lot more triggers soon. Cool. So here's the final thing I want to show you, and it relates to the callback. So, Aaron will provide a good insight into this, but on the next day, on the Monday, I come into my office and I say, look, find me all the inquiries that inspections that happened on the 21st. Okay, there was 51 of you that put in a test from the QR code. So thanks, guys. It's like more than half of you. Now I want to start my callbacks to these people, and I'm ringing them one by one. And Matt says, look, I'm actually really interested. I didn't get the contracts or information on the day, but can you send it to me? As I'm calling you, I can just hit this and hit send contracts, and bang, that will send the same template with all the documents off to Matt. So Matt, you'll get an email from me in a second. And I know that you'll be fine with that. That's got some fake documents on it. But it's also inside the app, but it's also used extremely well for your follow-up calls. Like as I've done that to Matt and myself, look what happens. It tracks that a contract sent to this person because I've actually sent it using the app button or the UI in the system. Why is that important, guys? Well, this leads us into the last thing we want to talk to you today about is the vendor reports and the vendor portal. Like if you use our vendor portal, your agent can be logged in real time at vendorportal.com.au, put in their email and their password, and they see this. So your vendor is looking at a full transactional of this number going up. That would only be at 20 something before today's webinar. They've seen it jump to 76, and they're looking at all the inspections and the feedback and the notes that they could be putting in or you're putting in.
And it shows the contracts issued.
Yeah. And more importantly, they're looking at this. They're going, okay, well, here's the contracts that have been issued. And they're looking at that and they can see, okay, well, these ones from the open today requested contracts. Like when the agent calls them back, they're going to be, oh, what's that Matt guy like? Or what's that Luke and Natalie guy like? It's full on 24/7 reporting to them. So inside the portal, they'll see these numbers going up as you have people attending the opens. They'll see the contracts hopefully going up as well. And then we also just show their marketing, their photos, any documents you want to present to them as the vendor portal. And you've got the agent details in there.
And that was that purple tag, by the way, like when you all that it says like VP.
The VP one.
So you've got the green one that will show like what you want to send the buyers, and then
the purple is what shows in the portal.
What will show in the vendor portal.
Exactly right. So the vendor portal, we don't go into the full training session on how that works or how it gets set up today, but it's a crucial part of that whole buyer journey. And it would go back to one of the very first things Aaron said. All this stuff is great because buyers become sellers. But what about if you flip that up and you say, well, how about I present to any presentation that I'm in, the journey that the buyers are going to get when they come to their property? And you take them through the QR check-in, you take them through all the triggers and make an inquiry on one of your properties, and then you show them a buyer portal of someone that you successfully just sold. So there's all the information in there, and you show them how that would go up instantly if they're putting people into that property, and you'll see this and you've got access to these documents. All of this is not just a tool for you to use out in the field, like for buyers, it becomes a really powerful listing presentation tool, every part of it. Because if you're sitting there with a vendor for an hour, let's call it for a presentation, you can add them as an inquiry. You can add them as an inspection. And during the presentation, they're going to get automated emails from you. And they're just like, oh, my phone just went off. I just got that. That's great, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. That's what every buyer will experience if you sign up with us. And that's our open home journey. It's world class. So that's where it flips on its head dramatically, where you think, oh, this is great buyer stuff, but it's not just buyer stuff. It's vendor stuff. It's selling why you're better than other agents.
Yeah, but also look at it like this, right? I come in as a genuine buyer. I meet 5 agents or 10, let's just call it 10 agents. I meet 10 agents through my buying journey, and 9 agents don't do this and 1 agent does. And you as the agent really sort of have a point of difference. You really help me. You keep me up to date with, oh, I've inquired on this property. I get the open house for it. I inspected it. You send me this. You do all this. There's a real point of difference at the end of it. I go, hang on, I've got the option. I've spoken to 10 agents. Which ones which ones have really sort of stood out to me as a buyer? Because let's face it, as a potential seller, I want to know how you look after my new buyer. And a lot of the agents are really below standard right now. And it's not a real great representation when it comes time for those buyers to sell, that, hey, I won't be using them purely because they didn't get back to me or they didn't handle my inquiry correctly. I wouldn't go with you out of principle. Well, this is a massive game changer, because today's buyer is tomorrow's seller.
100%. Well, guys, that brings us right on time for the sort of webinar today. We're going to open it up to the questions that have come through. So if you do have some questions, make sure you use the question section in the Zoom meeting. Look, first and foremost, Darren, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're extremely busy. You're back onto flying around the country. I know your input with the development team and how this all should work and flow has been crucial, as are all the ideas that you give to Locked On. So we really appreciate that. But it's great now that it's out in the field. We're going to get some live feedback. We're really excited to launch that to all you guys. And yeah, we do look forward to your feedback. So make sure you reach out to us at support@lockedon.com once you start using that. Let us know how it's all going.
Can I say something before we finish? So we've had about 100 people on this webinar from start to finish. So if you're a Locked On user watching this, this has just gone live. So you can jump in and start doing this now. And if you're somebody that isn't a Locked On user and you're using some other software, here's what my advice to you be. If you love your software, that's great. Continue using it. But if you think that there could be something out there better, like what you've seen today, then we'd love to chat to you. Luke can show you a demo. We can set you up on a free trial. And realistically, this is just the tip of the iceberg, what we've shown you. There's always new things coming. Not long ago, we were doing the buyer portal feature. Now we're doing this new feature, and very soon we're going to be releasing, without giving too much away, another, which in my opinion is the biggest, best feature
definitely
we've added since the introduction of Locked On. So we're constantly evolving, we're constantly adding new things. So if you'd like to be a part of that, we'd love to have you. Get in contact with us, and Luke will set you up with a demo or a trial. Other than that, let's answer some questions.
Yeah, guys. Well, before we get into the questions, I will finish the recording and we can answer all these questions live. But again, guys, thanks for joining us today. Our next monthly webinar for the Locked On users, we'll go back to the regular one, showing you through all the basic training and basic functions. And that'll be on the first Wednesday of next month. So I look forward to catching up with you all then. Have a great day, and I'll pause the recording now. All the best.
See you guys.